So we're going to continue. Last time we were talking a little bit about the things that change when you take ordination. So there's a change in appearance, change in hairstyle, change in your dress, your clothes, change in your name. And then the next one is we talked about changing our livelihood or occupation. Yeah, so that's a big change, isn't it? You know, to not have a job, not get a paycheck, not have control over a certain amount of money that you can spend as you wish. Okay, that's a big change, especially in this society when we've been brought up that, you know, we should have a career and a profession, and so much of our identity is wrapped around who we are and where we work and what we do and, you know, what our talents are, what our skills are. So there's a lot of identity wrapped up in that, and then that's kind of all shed. Yeah, it's interesting, you know, sometimes when people first come here, they talk a lot about like what they were doing before. I mean, that's natural because that's what we all do, yeah. And then you see as time changes that the old identity that's so tied up with work, you know, begins to lose importance and begins to shift. Yeah. So then there's also a change in here it says change in diet, but what it means is a change in how we receive our requisites. Okay, so we talk about the 4 requisites: food, clothing, shelter, and medicine, because those are the 4 things we need to stay alive. And there's a big change in how we get those when we ordain. Yeah. In normal society, you know, you have your career, you get your paycheck, you go out and buy. Yeah, you're a good consumer. You buy your food, you buy your clothing, you pay your rent or buy a house, you know, go to the doctor and, you know, pay for medicine. So, but in, you know, as a monastic, we have a totally different relationship with money and business, and we try and disengage ourselves from these things as much as possible. In terms of the actual precepts, we're not there's a precept against handling gold, silver, which, you know, means money, you know, as well as gold and silver, because those were the mediums of exchange at the time of the Buddha. And there's precepts against buying and selling, so not only doing business with selling things, but also buying stuff. Okay, and so the monastic lifestyle was initially set up like that, where you went on alms with your alms bowl, walking through the village, and then people would you know, put food in your bowl. You got your robes, like I was saying before, usually from the cemetery, or after doing the rains retreat, the 3-month rains retreat, people would often offer robes. Shelter was for the men under a tree or in the forest, out in the open. The women weren't allowed to do that. We were not allowed to be alone, but to, you know, have a friend and to stay in a house, and that was for the purpose of safety. I think now in our world that things are so crazy that precepts should be extended to men as well, because it's really not safe to, you know. We had one person who was here who wanted to just wander around the countryside here. And I said, oh, are you just going to go sleep, you know, on somebody's land here? I said, everybody around here has guns, you know, and they don't necessarily like trespassers. And if they see somebody strange sleeping on their land, it could be dangerous for you. Yeah, this isn't ancient India where nobody had guns and, there was plenty of space and a lot of land wasn't even owned. Yeah. So, so I think that should be actually extended for men too in terms of wandering like that. And then medicine. According to the precepts, you start with cow urine and progress from there. So I don't think they have cow urine at our pharmacy. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay. So. Again, we depend on other people to get these things. And the idea is that you live a lifestyle in which you're dependent on other people. So it does a couple of things. One is it makes you really aware of the kindness of other people. And especially when you've spent some time working yourself and supporting yourself and paying your own bills, then you recognize how hard people work. And when they donate money to the Abbey or to where, whatever monastery you're living at, how kind they are because, they work so hard to earn that money. And it's money they could be using to go on vacation or get themselves some treat or whatever. Get themselves some food, clothing, shelter, medicine, but they're choosing to give it as a donation. So when you make yourself dependent, you really feel that kindness and what people are giving up to support you and how much faith they have in the Sangha. And so that gives you a feeling of, I've really got to do my share in this, which means keeping the precepts, studying the Dharma, practicing it, serving society. I'm not just here to take the things. It isn't like, before somebody giving you a gift. In your lay life, people give you a birthday present, and then you give them birthday presents, and you appreciate it, but it's a gift. And this is a little bit different. It's not just a gift of, something that people think we were like. It's a gift of something that actually we need to stay alive. Because we need food, clothing, shelter, and medicine just to stay alive. So we have a feeling that our whole existence is dependent on the kindness of these people. So it really helps you to practice, and to be more conscientious, because you really feel this interrelationship. Second, by making ourselves dependent on others, or by living in dependence on others, it helps us cut attachment, because we don't go out and go shopping for our own things. We wait and see what is given to us. And you can see in the Bhikshuni precepts that, sometimes in ancient India, sometimes people would give a donation to make a bhikshuni or a bhikshu a robe. But if you went to the tailor and said, make it like this and this kind of cloth and make it this big and, this and that, so it's really something that you like, you commit a precept. You break a precept. Okay? And so the whole idea is whatever you're given, you accept that with gratitude and you wear that. Yeah, so whether it's old, whether it's new, whether, nowadays, all of our patches match. Yeah, because nowadays you have to take a whole piece of fabric and deliberately cut it up into patches so it looks like you're wearing a patched robe. At the time of the Buddha, you really had different patches of different colors that were sewn together. Okay, and so here at the Abbey, we wait and see what's given. and we wear the clothes that are here. It may not be exactly the kind of sweater you want. Yeah, the coat might be a little bit too big or a little bit too small, but it's what we have, it's what we wear. Shoes are a little bit more difficult, because you have to have shoes that fit. Otherwise your feet really hurt and you can't do much. In ancient India you walked barefoot. So, just rejoice you're not doing that. Yeah, we don't have leather shoes, and so, you look around for vegetarian shoes and do the best you can in that perspective. Yeah, and so it's cultivating an attitude of contentment. Yeah, so instead of, I want this and I like this particular way and not that particular way, then it's just whatever there is, I'm content with it. Okay? So, yeah. So that's a big change, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know. I remember when I was little, and people would give me clothes, or my mother would get me clothes that I didn't like. I don't want to wear that. And how big of a deal it was in the mind. And then, okay, now you don't have a choice. This is it. Okay, and you appreciate people's generosity. The next one is change in lodging. Okay, so again, in your lay life, you go out and you look for a flat, or you go out and buy a house, and then you can decorate it and remodel it and make it exactly what you want it to be, and make it beautiful, and put down the color carpeting you want, and paint the walls the color that you want, and do everything the way you want to do it. Okay, and as a monastic, we're supposed to live simply. Okay, and it's interesting. You might say, well, but you're building your own buildings and you're designing them yourself, so aren't you getting what you want? There's a few things regarding that. In terms of designing the buildings, I've listened to the advice of some senior abbesses. In particular, Venerable Wu Yen said, don't have bedrooms with attached baths, because if you do, then it's very easy for somebody to isolate themselves from the community. Yeah, they don't have to come out of their room. They don't have to share anything. Then, since they have running water and a bathroom in their room, then they can get a tea kettle and a little burner stove, and and really make quite a posh little thing and isolate themselves. Yeah. So she said, don't do that. So that's why none of our rooms have individual bathrooms. Okay, we always have shared bathrooms, and you don't have a kettle in your room. Okay, I have a kettle in my room because my room is a bedroom, a meditation room, and an office, and a kiddie place. All rolled into one space.
No water.
With no water, yeah, there's no running water in my cabin. So... Okay, so we deliberately design the rooms very simply. There's no closets in the room, so you can't accumulate a lot of stuff. Yeah, the rooms are not large and luxurious. The rooms are all painted the same color, or whatever color paint we have left over from the last thing we painted. So you don't get to choose your color of rooms. Yeah, you don't get to choose your blankets, although some people really do their best to do that. Yeah, you don't get to choose your pillows, although some people again do their best to work their way around that one. Or the kind of carpeting, because the kind of carpeting is chosen by the people, the nuns who are in charge of designing the building, and we don't always agree. So the color carpeting is who knows what. Depends on, what the majority of people happen to agree on that particular day before we changed our minds again. Okay? So, you don't get to decorate your own pad, so to speak. In the Chinese monasteries, they're quite strict about that, in the sense that, especially when you're first ordained for many years, you live in a huge dormitory, okay? Everybody has a wooden bed. You roll up your blanket, your quilt in the day, and your pillow, and you cannot tell one person's bed from another because everybody has the same pillows, the same quilts. Okay, all your clothes go in a locker. So when you walk in the room, you can maybe 10, 20 people are sleeping in it, and it just looks like, a room with beds and the same pillows and the same the same pillows and the same quilts. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you don't have this individuality. You don't make, in the Chinese monasteries, you don't make your own altar in your room. Yeah. Your books are in another locker or under a desk that is your assigned desk. So we already have a lot of individuality in our rooms. You can set up your own altar. You have, you can have one shelf of books. You find ways to kind of make things a little bit individual. But in the Chinese temples, that's not the case. In the Zen monasteries, not the case. The Tibetan monasteries, you have your own altar, you have books, but everything's quite simple. There's not, they don't have a lot of money, so there's not much besides that. Yeah, so we should try and live simple. If you have things in your room that you've somehow innocently managed to get for yourself, you might consider putting them in the community storeroom, so that others can have a chance to use them. Yeah, so, our lodging changes. And then the next one is a change in responsibility towards the Buddhist community and society. So this is a little bit what we talked about yesterday in our discussion group. What is our responsibility towards society and towards the Buddhist community? And so, here we definitely have a responsibility. It's not just all about me again. We have a responsibility to learn the Dharma, to practice it, to model it, to sustain it for future generations, to uplift society, And like I was saying, when you're a community, when you're part of a community, as a community you can do so much more than when you're on your own. Because the community acts as a place where people think of Dharma practice going on. Whereas if you have your own flat, people don't think of that as, a Dharma place that inspires them where they can go and visit. Okay? Also another thing that changes, that isn't specifically listed here, is a change in your relationship to your family and your friends and your social life. Okay, and this is a big change. Yeah. Now, our parents are always our parents. There's no way that they cannot be our parents. That's kind of over and done with, isn't it? And we have the same parents for our life. So we reassure our parents that they aren't losing us as children. However, our relationships with our parents do change, And in the Chinese monastery, I was there when Venerable Wuyan did a Shramanarika ordination, and she allowed the parents to come and observe, and at the end she spoke to the parents and she said, "Your daughters from now on will not sleep in your house." She said it directly to them, which I can imagine for some parents. Well, but it's like you've left the home life. Yeah, so you don't go back and stay with your parents or do things like that. Now, we have it a little bit different here. People can go and visit their family. You can stay in your parents' house or your siblings' house. You have 2 weeks during the year where you can go away and you can choose where you want to go and what you want to do. I mean, within reason. Nobody's gone to the Riviera yet, and I don't think anybody will, unless His Holiness is going to be there teaching. Yeah. But, okay, so, you can visit them, but you're not as involved in your family life, You have to somehow step back from a lot of the drama that happens in families, and different people in the family don't get along, and this and that. I mean, we all know family drama, don't we? And so, as a monastic, we step back and we deliberately don't get immersed in the family dramas. We keep a good relationship with everybody in the family. We can offer them Dharma advice, or we can do NVC, with them if they're upset. But we don't get involved with it, siding with this one against that one, and all the drama that happens and the upset and gazillions of phone calls going back and forth because this one's fighting with that one because they weren't invited to, this party or that party, and, or they're, yeah. Do you know? Yes, is your family like mine? My family is so interesting. Whenever there's a big family gathering, it's very difficult to figure out who sits together at the same table because there's so many people who don't speak to each other. Yeah. So, I just don't get involved with any of it, with any of the extended family. I don't even know who speaks to each other and who doesn't, and I don't want to get involved in any of that at all. Yeah, not good for the mind. Okay, so we still help our parents when they're elderly, but again, we try not to be the one that takes primary responsibility if we have siblings who can help our parents out, Sometimes there's nobody else, and so you do that. But it's not a good situation for a monastic in that way. I mean, it's quite meritorious to take care of your parents, and to be kind. But we're not the ones, if there's nobody else to, then we do. But we don't volunteer. We don't step up to be the first one to do it. Because, otherwise... Well, you can see we've had people come here. We just had somebody here with a very sincere monastic aspiration, and yet feels very attached to her mother, very responsible for her mother, and so isn't here at EML, even though she would have liked to be. Yeah? So this kind of attachment to family can bring a lot of distractions in Dharma practice. Yeah? And I used to, I began to be able to see that with my friends. I was, because my parents were not very happy when I ordained, they didn't support me in any way, but it gave me a lot of freedom. I could do whatever I wanted, live in India, live abroad, I was quite poor, but I had a lot of freedom. And then I see some of my monastic friends whose families support them. And they don't have that freedom because when the family wants to go on vacation, they expect that monk or nun to go on the family vacation with them. Yeah, or when there's a big family dinner, they expect their son or daughter to come home for the big family dinner. Because they're the ones who are the chief benefactors, so they have something to say. Sometimes even if they're the ones who buy the house that the monastic lives in, then they have a say even over what's in the house. Yeah. So it's very kind, of course, for parents to benefact, their son or daughter as a monastic. But you have to have really some lines and restrictions there. Otherwise, it's very easy to still stay in that identity of being their son or daughter, being a member of that family, getting all tied in with all the family dynamics and expectations. Yeah. So we go and visit our family, and we're kind to our parents, and we still love our parents. Yeah. But there's some more space. Okay. Yeah, because we've seen in certain EMLs, different EMLs, we've had people come who've been very attached to family members. Yeah, remember there was one where somebody was very attached to their kids. Really so attached, really difficult. Yeah, and attached to grandkids. Or attached, a few years ago, another person attached to their mother. Yeah, and you can see it really creates, that attachment creates a lot of obstacles. Yeah. And, because attachment craving is what makes samsara go round. It's not that that song, love makes the world go round. Yeah. Well, that's because they confuse love with attachment. It's attachment that makes the world go round. Yeah, the samsaric world. Okay, and then similarly with our friends, our old friends, there's a change in relationship when we ordain. Yeah, we don't go hang out with our old friends in the same way as we used to. Yeah, because you may have gone with your old friends. What do? You go to the tea shop or the coffee house. Yeah. So how does it look for a monastic regularly to be seen in the tea house or coffee shop? Doesn't look so good, especially with a lay friend. Especially with a lay friend who, if you're straight is of the opposite sex, and if you're gay is of the same sex. It doesn't look good. It doesn't give a good visualization to people. Yeah, and if people thinking, oh, but you're a monastic, what are you doing spending all day in the tea shop? Yeah, in the coffee house. Here, kind of, maybe they would, kind of encourage you to leave Starbucks after a while, after you've had 15 lattes. But in India you can sit in the tea shop all day and nobody asks you to leave. Yeah, and you just keep buying one cup of tea after the other and chat with all your friends all day long. Okay, and then how do you relate to your friends as a monastic? Well, what did you used to do with your friends? Yeah, besides going to the coffee shop, you went out drinking, you smoked joints together, you went to the movies. Yeah, you played miniature golf. You went to the football game. You went shopping together. Yeah, what else did you do with your friends? You went white water rafting. White water rafting. Yeah, and you collect she shells on the seashore. Yeah.
Art festival.
Oh yeah, you went backpacking with them. You went to art festivals. Yeah, you went to
Shopping.
what?
Antique shopping.
Antique shopping. Yeah. What else did you do? What? Oh, ski trips. How could I forget that? Definitely ski trips. Yeah. You went swimming together. Yeah. What else? Cooking. Oh, yes. Yeah. Huh?
Traveling.
Traveling. Yeah. Go sightseeing and have an adventure or two, and driving. Yeah. Yeah, let's just cruise around and see what's happening in town tonight. Yeah. Yeah. So, if you're a monastic, is that can you do those things? What does it look like to other people to see monastics doing those things? And what is it going to do for your practice to be involved in doing those things? Yeah? Yeah. I mean, what's your practice going to be like if you go to the ski resort? Yeah. Where, of course, you have to go shopping in the ski store, because you have to wear the right clothes when you're going skiing and have the right equipment. Yeah, the robes won't work. It could be an interesting new Olympic sport, though. Yeah, with your Zen. Yeah. Yeah. Or when you're going, what do the people do, who jump from parachutes? What's it called? Gliding?
Hang gliding.
Yeah, hang gliding with your friends. There you are. Somebody told me that they knew a monk who went hang gliding. I forget who it was. But, was it you?
No, because someone told me they made an offering for a Rinpoche to go hang gliding.
Right.
He did.
Yeah.
And then the elder Rinpoche was like, this is really inappropriate.
Yeah. 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 Or even, going to movies with all these scenes of sex and violence. What is that going to do to your meditation? Okay? So, the activities that we used to do have got to change when we ordain. And if those activities are very linked to our old friends, then there's going to be a change in how we relate to our old friends, because we're not going to do the same things with them as we did before. Yeah? And so, with our old friends, would you like to come and do Tara Puja? We're doing Tara Puja, by the way, tonight, You want to come do Tara Puja? Would you like to do mindful walking? Would you like to work in the forest with us? Would you? Yeah? How about offering service in the monastery kitchen? Yeah? So these relationships are going to change. And I remember, even for lay people, I think, when you get involved in the Dharma, your relationships with your friends change. And I remember at DFF, people were, Dharma Friendship Foundation, where I was the resident teacher for 10 years, many people would come and say, it's like I'm really into the Dharma and I love the Dharma, but I don't quite know how to relate to my old friends anymore. And they're not quite sure how to relate to me. So it's a thing that, even as a lay person, that you begins to change in you and your relationship with friends. I would suppose if there were a Buddhist society, it wouldn't be so noted. It wouldn't be such a big thing, because everybody would be Buddhist. Okay, but here, because everybody isn't, many of our friends may not even be spiritually inclined, or if they are, it's only when they're loaded. Then, it's the relationships change. Mm-hmm. So that can be quite a different experience. Some people feel really kind of wobbly when they're not quite, it's like I can't relate to my old friends the same way, but I don't have that many Dharma friends yet. Yeah, so it can be a little bit wobbly. Or some people are quite attached to their old friends and feel, I've just got to keep these friendships at all cost, but I don't know how to do that, because my old friends' interests and my interests are going in different directions now, so how do I continue those friendships? Yeah, in my own personal case, because I had to leave the U.S. to learn the Dharma, and I spent so many years living abroad. There was just this natural thing, and this was in the ancient times before email and texting and everything. So, and I wasn't going to be in India just writing letters all day. So my relationships with my old friends just changed quite naturally, and I cultivated a whole new set of friends quite naturally because I was in a Dharma environment. Yeah. Here it might be different because and also even I've seen it too, even you go to Asia, sometimes your old friends want to, hear reports from you. Or with you, your friends in Germany, they wanted you to do a blog. Yeah? And I said, yeah, because when you're here, you've got to be here. And, nowadays, if you travel, you go somewhere else, you do a blog, you're creating a persona, aren't you? Yeah? Look what I'm doing. Yeah? So that, again, is why, nobody has their own individual Facebook page here, or, individual blogs. We don't do blogging. We don't have an individual Twitter account. Yeah, the Abbey has Facebook and Twitter. I don't know, do we send much out on Twitter? No. Okay, yeah, because what happened is there's some lay people who took over the Twitter and the Facebook, and they're really great, and they keep tabs on what we're doing here, and they put it up on Facebook, and they let people know about it by Twitter, and it's really nice, and they're into it, and it's really good for them because that way they watch all the teachings, they keep, up with the Abbey, they feel really part of a member of our extended community, and then it frees us from having to do it, because who wants to sit? I mean, I have enough computer work all day anyway. I don't want to sit and write a blog, and I really don't want to read what people ate for breakfast. There's more things to do with my time than read twits. Twits or tweets? Tweets. You're a twit who tweets, is that it? Well, it sounds alike, doesn't it? I mean, birds tweet, don't they? Birds are the ones who tweet. Yeah. So again, to think about, well, how do I feel about that? All my friends have a Facebook page, and I don't. A few years ago, there was one young man who came to EML, and no computer during EML. The day after the course ended, he was staying on, he was on that computer looking, I've got to see what all my friends are doing. And it's like, no you don't. Yeah? And this feeling of, I've got to see, what did my friends eat for breakfast? Or who's going out with who, and who's fighting with who, and who had, is thinking about what. And again, this is just distraction. And you can see so clearly how it comes in your meditation. Yesterday when Jeffrey was talking about both distraction and excitement, you sit down to meditate and you start thinking about, what your old friends are doing. I just, was on Facebook, and so-and-so's, now in Nepal climbing, Annapurna Mountain. That's so fantastic. I wonder what that's like. I wish I had done that before I got ordained. Maybe, there's Buddhism there. Maybe I could make it into a pilgrimage of some sort and still go to climb Annapurna. And we're off and running. That's the mental factor of excitement. Okay, and it's going to be so virtuous because I'll go to all these Buddhist temples on the, on my way backpacking, and right? Yeah.
I thought found that it was very useful when I started with Facebook and so on, because the Tibetan community used it extensively to stay connected with each other when they moved to America, and especially young people to Europe and Asia.
Mm-hmm.
And they used it to inform themselves what kind of activities they are doing, and to support each other via internet, because there had been no other opportunity to do that. And I got really into it, but it took so much time staying online. I thought it's virtuous because I wanted to support the badness in that. But it took so much time from my own personal practice of study.
Yeah. Yeah, it takes a tremendous amount of time to keep up with all these, Facebook, Twitter, writing letters and everything. Yeah, so much time. Yeah, and so I think it kind of changes. I mean, I have many Dharma friends, but we're not in touch very often. Yeah, I mean, if there's something that we really need to discuss with each other, then we're in touch with each other. But otherwise, we all know we're very busy in doing what we're doing. Yeah. And then I see, years go by before I see some of those people again, but when I see them, they're still friends. So.
Another place about the visualization. I have a friend who has commented to me that another nun that she also knows is on Facebook a lot. And she said, "I'm so happy we're not like that." Mm-hmm. Meaning the Abbey.
Mm-hmm.
She's not even much associated with the Abbey, but that was her wing, is that her connection with the Abbey, and seeing that other monastics that she has known are all over the internet.
Yeah.
Not something she likes to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It didn't give a good feeling. Yeah. Yeah, because sometimes there's a few monastics who have extensive blogs, and during one crisis in the community, I was, the Buddhist community, I was following somebody's blog, and they were posting like 1 or 2 times a day, and I thought, how do they have time to write all this stuff? And then somebody they were training was also posting, and I was going, I am far too busy here to spend time just posting stuff, yeah? So, yeah, but it's a change. It's a change, especially when you're used to being tuned in and having your own cell phone and calling people when you want to, and now you really, you can call your family, but it's not as often, and calling old friends, I don't know. Yeah, in some cases maybe, but generally, unless they're Dharma friends, it doesn't make much sense. Yeah. So it's a change. Uh-huh.
There's a little hook that I had to look at maybe just a few years ago. Is that some of the friends that I had before I came to Seattle and started practicing the Dharma were very close. We have a lot of shared values and stuff. This little hook is, since I haven't communicated with them in a few years, I'm not going to see them again this life. That's the little hook, and where they will be next life, and we won't recognize each other anyway. So there's this little hook, and then there's one, maybe you can reconnect and share the Dharma with them, or give them some opportunity, create the causes to share. I have to be really careful, but that's the mind we're to, is this attachment to missing, is this sense of loss.
Yeah.
A relationship that used to have some meaning for me, and now I'm like feeling, like that's it.
Okay. So relationships that were meaningful to you, where you had really good connections with other people, and then feeling as a nun that, well, I may not see these people again. Yeah. Well, even if you were in touch with them, you may not see at some time you won't see them again too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can see there how the mind's hanging on to permanence. They're the same person. It's been 10 years since we've had a good solid talk, but they're the exact same person. And I want to make sure I see them again. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be like or what we're going to talk about, but there's an inherently existent person there, and I have an inherently existent connection with them. Yeah.
Forgetting that I've known them since beginning with lives in all different scenarios, and I'm going to be doing it again. It's only, an 80-year cycle here, so.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I find that actually very helpful to think, okay, I've had all these different relationships with this person in the past, and they haven't always been who they are. They haven't always been the same personality, because we tend to think, oh, well, different relationships, but it's still so-and-so in the form of a bird, And so we just had the same close connection as parrots in the cage in the previous life. Give me a break. It's like there's no inherently existent person there. There's no fixed personality there. Everything's changing. So you meet somebody in a next life, and not only are they going to be in a different body, but they're going to have, a different kind of personality. And they're not fixed people. And even in this lifetime, they aren't fixed personalities. They change. Yeah? And being able to accept that and being able to say, I'm doing my practice for the benefit of all sentient beings, and hopefully in the future life, because I do have some kind of karmic connection with this person, I will meet them, and due to the force of practicing very well in this life, I'll be able to help them in the Dharma in future lives. And that's what I do towards my parents who aren't interested in the Dharma at all. It's like, okay, all of you are my parents too, so I have to help the parents who want to be helped, and I can't shove the Dharma down the parents who don't want it. Yeah? But hopefully in future lives there will be that opportunity. Okay? Yeah, so it really is seeing that it can bring you into, it's a very good meditation on emptiness when you see that there's no solid person there and there's no real personality to cling to in your friends, in your relatives. Yeah, I mean, whoever is our parent, our mother and father this lifetime, weren't our mother and father in previous lifetimes. They won't be our mother and father in future lifetimes. Now my mom passed away. I see different bugs, and I go, I wonder. Yeah. Or different, living beings. We have bunny rabbits here, Who was that bunny rabbit in a previous life that I have a connection with them? And they have a connection with the Abbey. And, I can't hold to fixed personalities or fixed people. So that I think is an especially important way to meditate on emptiness when you're a monastic, in order to really create space in your relationships with your old friends and with your parents and with whoever it is you're attached to. They are not a solid personality. There's nothing there to cling on to. And we haven't always known each other, and we're not always going to know each other, and they're changing all the time, and I can't find anything that's the essence of them anyway. Whatever I might try and find is that's really that person. It's changed in the next moment. So questions, comments about this?
Facebook, I never had an account, but I remember a couple of years ago hearing people talking about the number of friends they have.
Yes.
So when you have to give that up, where do all those friends go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, especially oh, there's 500 people who are my friends, or there's 100 people who are my friends. When I was in high school, I had 2 friends. Now, look, I have 102 friends. I'm popular, finally. Of course, you don't know half those people. Yeah, you have to give it up. Mm-hmm.
I just have a little anecdote regarding Facebook, which, because I had this similar thing that Monastic was talking about, I still do, for having this, like, kind of hope, holding on to, like, oh, maybe I could benefit my own sense of Dharma. And on Facebook, I actually started to post, like, a daily motivation, like, whoever's leading the meditation sessions here does each morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so, hoping, maybe people could, like, benefit from this. And, I mean, it did, like, people commented, and a few, people, liked it, which is, like, a button,
Yeah.
to show they do. But I realized, like, I mean, it just seemed to be just, like, such a small handful of people and taking, quite a bit of time, and I kind of lost, like, the train of, like, the energy to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, I don't really know what I took from it. I guess it wasn't, like, all bad, but it did get me more kind of involved being on Facebook more than it was helpful for me.
Right. It got, yeah. Go ahead.
But one other thing is that was kind of cool is that a friend I haven't seen in maybe like 4 years, who I was friends with in high school, he sent me a message too, saying that he wanted, to meditate with me and him and his girlfriend, and she never really learned about Buddhism, so like asked if I could like give some introduction to what Buddhism is, and yeah. So I mean, I guess there's positive opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
that you can connect with old friends with, but I think it's certainly less like, that's not like with everyone. It's
Yeah.
a small handful of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gets you really into the numbers,
Well, yeah.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Like, oh, only like 3 people.
Yeah.
maybe-
So, why should I do it? I want more friends. I want, yeah.
Right.
This-
The hits or whatever.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I think what I wrestle with the most is the expectation. So, for example, from my culture, the female daughter is expected to take care of the mom or the parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the only female. And I can feel the weight of that expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to move my mother or help her kind of see that my brother could take also good care of her, and there's a lot of barriers to this
Mm-hmm.
that come up. So there's definitely a weight, and also in terms of my daughter, it's like this expectation of you're always there, you're the mom, you're always there, you have to fulfill this role. And it's a big prison, that expectation is really boulder of weight and imprisonment, because it's hard to break from.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I wrestle with when I think about the decision to come and to ordain, feeling that pull.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm working with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much. There's that pull from family members. Yeah. What I also find very interesting is if you have a tight-knit family, you feel the pull of the expectations and you want some space from it. And then other people who don't have a tight-knit family, they really want more, they wish they had more family and they wish they had more connection. Yeah, but with the connection comes all the expectations. So to me, it's a thing of, you're never satisfied. And it's very difficult to have, the perfect relationship with your family, whether you're, if you're very close, you want more space. If you're not close, you want more to be closer. It's like